Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to check out another of these brand new PNSO figures. Another one has just arrived. Finally, this is probably the furthest back as far as the ones that I've ordered that are now just finally showing up. I don't really get to review them in the order that they are released because they just show up sporadically as far as the postal service delivering them, but this is obviously Isaac the Sauropelta, and it is definitely a figure that I was really excited about PNSO making because we don't have very many Sauropelta figures out there, and as far as what I can see with this one, it really does look like it's potentially the best Sauropelta that any company has released yet, and that in itself is very exciting if you ask me. But as far as the box goes, we have again the very nice image of the Sauropelta up here on the front, as well as of course the PNSO logo and the species title right there. If we take a look at the top of the box, you could see yet another alternate image of the Sauropelta, and then once you turn it around, you have the same thing, but now in Chinese. So let's go ahead, break this figure out of the box, and take a look at it. And then we have the booklet, as always, sporting a very nice image of the Sauropelta right here on the front. And then once you open the booklet up, you have, of course, a Chinese side and an English side. Here is the English side, displaying a really nice image of the Sauropelta, yet another one up here. And then if we go even further, the camera's a little low, so it's harder to see, but you could see an image right up there above the Sauropelta, kind of an image of the skeletal structure and some fun stuff like that. And then once we come to the side over here, we have lots of information on the Sauropelta, the company, PNSO, all that fun stuff. So really cool additions are these booklets, as always. And then we have our Sauropelta itself, and it is a beautiful looking figure straight out of the packaging. I'm really quite impressed, honestly, looking at it right here, because it really does look pretty much just like the promotional images had led me to believe it would. So that is definitely a good thing as far as this figure goes, because I feel like the actual paint application, of course, it's not quite as perfectly detailed. It doesn't match up exactly, but it is very close as far as what the promotional images had shown us. So really nice looking here at first glance. Without further ado though, we're going to go ahead and get a closer look at it to see how nice this figure truly is up close. So starting up here at the head sculpt, look at how absolutely gorgeous the head sculpt is of the Sauropelta. That is just as beautiful, I think, as you're ever going to find when it comes to the head sculpt of a Sauropelta. Absolutely gorgeous texturing up here as far as the skin texture, the scales and everything up here on the face. It really looks perfect if you ask me. You have a very nice ear sculpted out back there. The eye is painted with a nice black, given a very nice gloss coat, making it shine quite realistically. You can also see the nostrils up here, which is also defined with a nice dark coloration. The mouth in general is beautifully sculpted, very nicely painted. You can see like a very light reddish coloration here on the side of the head, and then it transitions to a darker coloration of like a gray up here on the top of the head, and it's all beautifully dry brushed to make sure that detail pops in very beautiful and realistic fashion. Tip of the mouth of the Sauropelta appears to have almost like a greenish coloration, a very slight difference in coloration than we see up on the head, but I think it looks really, really good as well. Beautiful nostrils sculpted out over here. Again, the eye is painted beautifully, absolutely perfect as far as that placement of the eye goes. The gloss coat looks incredible over here as well, and you can again see some more variation of color, like almost like some purplish tones of color included as well. That is present over here as well, so really, really nice looking coloration here on the head sculpt of the Sauropelta. That looks just absolutely awesome. As we start to move back here into the neck, you can see some more of the really nice scale detail here on the underside, including the throat. Quite a nice bit of wrinkling going on right there as well. You can see kind of the skin stretching off of the body right there as far as the neck and throat region also. Some more really nice variation of color included. The spikes here appear to have a little bit of a glossy appearance. They are also sculpted beautifully. You can see some very nice minute fine detailing within them and some incredible paintwork on it. I love that they kind of transition from a nice darker coloration as you get closer to the body to a lighter coloration at the tips. Very nice, potentially realistic looking appearance as far as that goes, and everything is just absolutely beautiful as far as the paintwork and sculpt work goes with this really nice dry brushing that you can see that they've applied. It just really makes all the detail pop and really stand out. Moving back here into the front leg, you can see so many different varying sizes of scales on this figure. The scale detail is just absolutely insane. I also love how kind of on the underside of the spikes up here, you can see kind of almost like a scoot-like appearance that sort of runs along the spikes right there. That looks really cool. You can also pick up on quite a few larger kind of like scoots and osteoderms throughout the figure, just generally making it look like it's a very tough-skinned animal. Like it really looks very tough, very rough overall as far as like the feeling of the dinosaur. If we were to kind of run up there and pet the Sauropelta on the leg, I just feel like it would be a very, very hard, rough skin texture scaling that you would find there, and I think PNSO has displayed that beautifully within the sculpt of the figure. Very nice foot sculpt down here as well. The nails are painted with a nice grayish coloration. Moving back into the stomach region, some more of those kind of scoots and osteoderms showing up here and there. You can see some more of that kind of light reddish coloration in the stomach region as well, just giving it some extra color variation to the figure. It then transitions very smoothly to a white underbelly, which also sports some incredible detailing. Even the undersides of the feet have a really beautiful textured appearance to them. Looking at the rear leg, you can see some nice skin wrinkles going on right there as the leg's kind of pushing into the body. Also some very nice skin wrinkles in the joint of the knee. Very large looking thigh area, very muscular looking calf as well. Again, the scale detail looks absolutely incredible throughout the sculpt of every area of this figure. PNSO just, they continuously are delivering some of the most highly detailed dinosaur sculpts I think we're probably ever going to see. Another really nice looking foot sculpt back here. Lots of really nice color variation to the figure. As you can see, many different tones of color included. Lots of really nice darker tones, which I think really looks very realistic on the figure. Coming back here into the tail, you can see some more really beautiful detail. Even a cloaca, it appears, is down here on the underside, and some more nice color variation with different shades of like reddish coloration and like browns even right here. Once we get to this area, it transitions to a brown, and we lead out the length of the tail. The scale detail here on the underside looks really good, and the paintwork again is just top notch. You can see every one of these spikes and areas of the armored part of the dinosaur are just so perfectly painted, very carefully painted. Lots of love goes into these PNSO figures. You could see that without question. And then looking over here, again, really nice detailing, just like we had seen on the previous side. Absolutely gorgeous leg sculpt here on the front, just like we had seen on the previous side, but this side now stepping forward more so than trailing like we saw on the opposing side. Again, lots of really nice scale detail is included. Coming back into the stomach region, we see some more, again, of that really nice color variation, some more of those kind of osteoderms and scoots and stuff poking up. The skin texture continues to look absolutely incredible. Same deal back here with the thigh on this side, which is trailing ever so slightly as opposed to the previous side there. And you can definitely see how incredible looking that scale detail is over here. Very nice musculature displayed and everything. One thing that's very strange, though, you can see there's a white area on this foot, which definitely kind of stands out like a sore thumb. I don't know what happened there, but I may actually touch that up. I normally leave my figures kind of just like they are when they show up. I like to keep them as original as possible, but that is just so obnoxious looking, that little white area on the foot, that I just think I might have to touch that one up. But again, leading back here into the tail, that scale detail looks absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful paintwork. Very nice dry brushing has been applied to make all the detail pop. Everything as far as the detailing aspect of this figure goes is about as highly detailed as it gets. And then looking up here, you can continue to see how unbelievably beautiful the sculpt and detail is. And up here on the top, the kind of armored side of the dinosaur, you can really see how nice that dry brushing has allowed each and every one of these scales to pop in beautiful and very realistic fashion. And that is exactly how it appears throughout the entire sculpt, throughout the entire appearance of this figure. It just looks so nice the way they painted that, and I really love the use of the dry brushing on this figure because it makes everything look so realistic, but also just generally make you take note of how incredible the sculpt is and how much detail is actually included. So this Sauropelta is just awesome. As far as a size goes on our Sauropelta, for a length, you are looking at right around the 6.5-inch range, or about 16.5 centimeters, somewhere in that vicinity. For a height, the highest point would be the back, and you've got it at about 2.25 inches, or around 5.5 centimeters, somewhere in that vicinity. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pachylovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, really highlighting the fact that this Sauropelta is quite small, easily one of the smallest PNSO figures that we've had released so far, I would say, with this newest wave of figures, it may actually be the smallest. It's kind of tough to tell, but it definitely sports a very small size in comparison to not only these figures, but quite a few of the other recently released PNSO figures. And for further proof of that, here are quite a few other recently released PNSO figures, which we have the Sinoceratops, the Tojengosaurus, and the Sauropelta, which you can see, which definitely the Sauropelta was one that I think that many people were very interested in size comparison wise with the Sauropelta, and you can definitely get a good idea of the fact that the Sauropelta has a pretty significantly smaller size overall in comparison to the Sauropelta from PNSO, but definitely a really nicely sized figure. I will say that even with the smaller size, it is very striking for its size and an absolutely gorgeous representation of Sauropelta. So this brand new Sauropelta from PNSO is another absolutely awesome addition to the PNSO line. I must say that PNSO has been continuously impressing me lately, which they always have. They've always delivered incredible figures. I've always been a huge fan of PNSO, but I feel like recently the PNSO figures have been even more so impressive than they used to be. And I'm not even just speaking like from the beginning of this newest wave, because even the newest wave of these figures I feel like weren't quite as impressive as the figures that we are getting now. If you just take a look there back at the Tojengosaurus and the Sauropelta in comparison to the Sinoceratops and the Sauropelta that we had just a moment ago kind of displayed together, I feel like the Sauropelta and the Sinoceratops being two of the more recent releases from PNSO, overall the paint application is better on those figures than what the older figures had been given, and I think that really just says a lot about PNSO and their continuing improvements that they are making with their figures, because I feel like the paint applications of their figures are just continuously getting better and better as time goes on, and I feel like this Sauropelta is definitely a very good example of that. Again, really nicely sporting that paint scheme that almost matches up to the prototype, and that's something that we've been able to say about the last few releases that I've reviewed here from PNSO with the Spinosaurus, the Sinoceratops, and now the Sauropelta. They've all had very similar paint schemes to the actual prototypes, which is something you don't see too often from many companies. More often than not, you'll usually get a figure that is a little bit different in person compared to what you see in the prototypes. And that's not so much what I've been seeing with PNSO lately. They've definitely been hammering out some fantastic paint schemes and fantastic paint jobs with the applications of the paint, and you can see that perfectly here on this Sauropelta. Again, the sculpt is fantastic on this one, an extremely highly detailed sculpt. Like you could just see looking at the figure from that closer look that we took, it is absolutely overloaded with detail and looking about as lifelike and realistic as it probably can get when it comes to a sculpt. PNSO has been hammering out some very highly detailed sculpts lately, some absolutely incredible figures continuously, and this Sauropelta 1000% is exactly that. So if you would like to pick this up, I will include a link in the description to Dan's Dinosaurs, where you can head on over there right now and purchase one for yourself. So make sure you check the description, head on over to Dan's Dinosaurs and buy this incredible Sauropelta from PNSO, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.